was born to a government servant. I was the last born among a family of 5. And my father worked in the tribal districts of Orissa, where I grew up. I had a wonderful childhood because till the age of 8 there was no schools nearby, so I didn't attend school. I was homeschooled. And right in the lap of nature, as I was telling you that my parents moved from place to place across tribal districts of Orissa, so I have seen nature at her best, and it gives me a certain amount of earthiness, gives me a certain amount of simplicity, which is required to cut through complexity. When I came out from the influence of both my parents, I was kind of given away to my eldest brother. The age difference was huge. He was 14 years older. That's when I came to Bhubaneswar to live in the university town with him. He had finished college, he started teaching in the university. And he actually taught me ambition. You know, he did small things which I look back and see how they have in a definitive manner shaped me. One day in the university there was a Chancellor's Cup debate competition. So the best debaters of the university were, debating. I was 8 years old and he took me along with him. I was the only kid in that entire hall and I understood nothing of what was going on there. But the whole idea that young men and women were coming and in a completely possessed manner, completely involved manner, they were arguing, for or against. I was stunned and I said, my God, I have no idea what these people are doing, but one day I have to do this. Okay. Getting a young mind to say that, someday I want to be like this is a huge leap into the future. If you do that, then the young people can pretty much take care of themselves. Okay. Similarly, I started going to school. Then he joined the IAS. Again, he was posted in the boondocks. Half the time I was traveling with him in his jeep by his side, not even attending school. And during those jeep rides, as he would oversee development, he would explain to me complex economic theory. By the time I was 10 or 12, I knew about Shoemaker's economic theory. I knew about demand and supply. I knew about the issues of development. I knew how, what is the role of a government servant at a tahsil level, at a subdivisional level, what's the difference between what the collector of the district does versus what the superintendent of police does. So, what fascinated me was he treated me as an equal. When you treat a child as an equal, the child has grown up. The child is learning way ahead of the child's time. Child is building ambition. The child is building self-confidence. Once you have this interesting alchemy, you have a fairly strong foundation for success, but that success can become very individualistic. But look at look at the fortune that I had. My foundation was a foundation of inclusion, and here I am looking at all these things. So when you connect the idea of success to the idea of inclusion, okay, then it is not your success, but it is about the success of everything around you. Okay. When everybody succeed together, then that's true success. So people ask me all the time, they say, what is your definition of success? I always tell the two things. One is success is about building legacy. You know, if you can live anything that touched you better than what it was before, that is success. The second thing is when you are able to do extraordinary things with ordinary people, that's success. So, you know, these three people were very deep early childhood influences on me.
If I look at the first part, people speak about integrity as obviously a cornerstone, or at least a foundation for many of the items that have to be built today. But it's hard to do, especially when the surroundings are not as the same way necessarily. If you have to get to do a sale, but the person that you have to be as an intermediary is requesting something that is not going to satisfy your integrity, but the company's goals are overriding it, it's a tough thing. And maybe you work around it by getting some subcontractor to do that work, but still, integrity may not be fulfilled in the way it's defined. So is it practical to redefine integrity as the situation changes?
Let me give you some concrete examples. You know, when Azim Premji was negotiating a joint venture with GE to set up Wipro GE Medical Systems, the joint venture was almost done. And so it meant that Wipro GE Medical Systems take over the sales book of the previous entity that was representing GE. We're talking about 1989, 1990. And one of the transactions was to sell a CT machine to a hospital to a teaching hospital in the north. So you had the list of prospects, you had details about what the deal is, and both sides were going through it scrupulously, because these high-end modalities, as they're called, were very expensive. You know, each one would cost upwards of $100,000, which 1990 was big money. They were all imports. So while going through this, when the conversation came to this particular transaction, the document read that there was a commission agent involved. So Premji said, how much is the commission? It turns out that there was an existing commitment to pay 20% commission. Premji asked, without blinking, what value a commission agent adds that earns him 20% sales commission. You can understand 2%, 3%, because that's the kind of price you have to pay for opening a door. Okay? You are not providing after-sales service. You are not a domain expert. You don't have a continuing advisory relationship on the usage of the equipment. So he said, this is not acceptable. And at that moment, he was putting the relationship to jeopardy. GE retracted. And Premji said, I will have nothing to do with this transaction. Premji is still in business. The joint venture is flourishing. GE has changed from Jack Welch to Jeff Immelt. The relationship survives. So the point is, end of the day, it is not the environment, it is about you and me.